The kind of outburst that makes reality TV producers salivate and fans go crazy was captured on camera last night. Once hailed by fans as the transformed Family Guy, Men's the Guy just lost it in a scene so outrageous that it closed a lounge in Atlanta, went viral online, and drew Yandy Smith into the year's largest hip-hop and love scandal. Let's ask the actual inquiries. Did the era of Mendeecees and Yandy's alleged relationship ambitions just come to an end? Has Scrappy, yes, that's Scrappy, just turned into which one's most surprising homewrecker? What, above all, drove men to assault, turn the tables, and shout like a man who has suddenly discovered that his empire was based on sand? Because the kicker is here. There was more to the attack than anger. It was desperate. According to witnesses, Yandy's cool, collected answer struck him more forcefully than any blow could. Let's just say that the entire lounge became a live-action Jerry Springer meets TMZ moment when Scrappy's name was spoken. Remain locked in because of what transpired. There was more than drama on camera yesterday night. It's turmoil that may ruin a career, a marriage, and one's reputation. The streets of Atlanta are still talking about it after the cameras captured it and the blogs played it again. Mendeecees Harris exploded, not just snapped. The man who previously advocated for loyalty, second chances, and creating a brighter future simply put on a performance that minimized the humor of all those Instagram captions. Let's clarify one issue now. There have been previous instances where Indy's rage has been widely publicized. Mendeecees was notorious for his outbursts, legal disputes, and a temper long before the suits, family portraits, and talk of redemption. Past that, he always seemed to be one poor choice away from being caught. The time he spent in prison, the gossip about dubious business dealings, and the persistent speculations about whether Yandy Smith was hiding a king or cleaning up after a ticking time bomb were all things that fans never forgot. However, yesterday night made all previous scandals seem insignificant. Several witnesses attested to the fact that they were all conveniently using their iPhones to record. When Mendeecees and Yandy entered that posh Atlanta lounge, tension was already high. The couple appeared flawless. Mendeecees with a new lineup, Yandy wearing a fancy dress. However, according to sources, you may use a knife to ease the stress. Yandy had a tight face and a phony smile. Mendeecees, he was unable to look away from his phone. The atmosphere cried out, "Something's wrong." Then, as though prearranged by the untidy gods of reality TV, Scrappy entered indeed. Well, Mendeecees' longtime buddy and cast member, Scrappy the rapper. Their past was convoluted. They were cool on paper. Their partnership was actually more akin to a tenuous truce. They never trusted one another, even when they smiled for the cameras. And last night demonstrated why. Mendeecees' whole attitude changed when Scrappy walked into the VIP area and embraced Yandy. He tightened his jaw. His hands clenched. The room's air departed. Witnesses state the moment Yandy leaned down and whispered something to Mendeecees as Scrappy left. It pushed him into a tailspin, whatever it was. He got up, barked, and slammed his glass against the table. "That's what we're doing at the moment." Yandy rolled her eyes as calm as ice. "I have no idea what you're discussing." At that point, fuel and fire. "Yandy, don't toy with me. Don't sit here and pretend you have no idea what's happening." Yandy's answer, "A dagger. Why don't you ask Scrappy if you're so pressed?" Boom. There was silence in the lounge. Security began to creep up on them. Like paparazzi, fans whipped out their phones. Mendeecees as well. His hands trembled as if he were trying to contain all of his anger as his face flushed scarlet. He took Yandy by the arm. Not challenging enough to make an impression, but not enough to cause a gasp from everyone in the VIP area. Yandy said, "Don't touch me," and grabbed her arm. The floodgates opened at that point. Mendeecees flipped the entire table, causing food to splash across the velvet ropes, glasses to fly, and bottles to break. As security hurried in, the room erupted in screams, and Mendeecees' voice thundered over the mayhem. "Yandy, who in hell do you think you are? Do you believe that you can trick me? Yandy too? She merely grinned as though she had been anticipating this moment. Her words sliced like a razor through the chaos. Perhaps you ought to ask Scrappy. As he struggled, security pulled Mendeecees back while shouting for Yandy to be honest with me. And fate gave the situation the ultimate punchline just when it couldn't get much messier. Scrappy returned with an entirely unconcerned expression. When Mendeecees saw him, he lost what little poise he still had. Isn't that him? Behind my back, you've been seeing Scrappy. The worst part is that Yandy didn't dispute it. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. Perhaps you ought to have been paying more, she murmured, leaning back in her chair. The internet was blown up by that one sentence. Scrappy's retort was composed, arrogant, and lethal. Bro, it is what it is. Mendeecees went at Scrappy with security barely holding his back. Fans screamed, seats were overturned, and drinks were filled before the movie was online, gaining more traction than any reunion altercation could. The narrative gets more complicated here, though. This was more than just a public outburst. This was the culmination of years of whispers, suspicions, and rumors coming to light. Because the relationship between Yandy and Scrappy isn't new, according to insiders. It's been simmering away in the background, out of sight. Mendeecees has been acting shadily for some time, and Yandy has been holding some truth bombs, according to one source, and last night was her way of finally declaring, "I'm done protecting you." Scrappy and Yandy didn't just happen last night, a second insider muttered. For months they have been playing around. The blow-up in the lounge was only the beginning. A glass of wine, a smirk, and the remark, "What's done in the dark always comes to light," appeared on Yandy's Instagram story the next morning. Fans are immediately analyzing every picture, message, and cryptic post. Coincidence? Please. This time, the scandal is threatening to engulf everyone. And Mendeecees is more than simply humiliated. Let's not forget that this is love and hip-hop, where drama is currency and chaos is marketing. The internet doesn't believe in coincidences. The irony isn't lost on fans, and Yandy is playing it cool, but insiders say she's quietly preparing for the storm. He's reportedly furious behind the scenes, calling lawyers, threatening lawsuits, and planning retaliation. Scrappy is doubling down, posting shady captions like "loyalty over everything." Because this meltdown isn't just a viral video. It's the beginning of a career-ending scandal if Mendeecees chooses to produce receipts, text messages, financial records, and whispered rumors about Yandy funding Scrappy's lifestyle. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, the hotel photos were released. Witnesses claim that Yandy and Scrappy weren't exactly hiding when they were seen together on the night of the lounge explosion, arriving at a hotel in downtown Atlanta with Scrappy's arm around her waist and Yandy laughing as if the chaos hadn't even touched her. The following morning, another Instagram story showed Yandy in the Scrappy's car's passenger seat with the phrase, "I had a great time moving on the blogs." Hollywood Unlocked, The Shade Room, and TMZ all ran alongside the headline. Scrappy and Yandy were pictured together following Mendeecees' breakdown. Supporters went crazy. Apparently, Mendeecees wasn't insane after all. In reality, Yandy abandoned him for Scrappy. Now, savage people are dissolving marriages. The internet declared war as the ideas and memes rolled in. And Mendeecees plotted while the bloggers profited and the fans laughed. Sources close to him said that he paced his home yelling, "She really thinks she can play me like this." When those hotel pictures appeared at that point, he called, not to Scrappy or Yandy, but to his attorneys. For if Yandy and Scrappy felt that last night was chaotic, the following chapter is going to completely upend hip-hop and love. The internet didn't just react when those hotel photographs appeared on blogs. It completely collapsed. Crime scenes were created from Twitter discussions. Inquiries. Yandy's Instagram selfies and the jewelry she wore were being compared side by TikTok investigators. Additionally, with tags like chili, Instagram gossip pages added fuel to the fire. Yandy is no longer even attempting to conceal it. Mendeecees had experienced humiliation before. He had previously escaped accusations of infidelity, corporate problems, and even federal prosecution. However, this being spread online as a man who was taken advantage of by his wife and his alleged buddy was unacceptable because it was both public and personal. Insiders claim that as soon as he contacted his attorneys, Mendeecees began organizing a counterattack to burn the ground, not only to cleanse his reputation. He warned his close group, according to sources, if she wants war, she's going to get war. Scrappy, he's done. At that point, the so-called receipts began to circulate. A well-known gossip blog in Atlanta shared screenshots purportedly Yandy is seen texting Scrappy. The timestamps of the messages curiously matched the weekends that Mendeecees was known to be traveling. One message said, "He's out of town. Pull up tonight." Another purportedly said, "Don't post nothing. He's watching." Were they authentic? Who knows? However, fans were indifferent to authenticity by the time they were able to obtain them. Drama was what they were looking for. Financial details from Yandy and Mendeecees' joint business account were purportedly leaked in another instance that on evenings when Scrappy happened to be in town, highlighted transactions revealed cash withdrawals, lavish hotel reservations, and pricey dinners. Bloggers depicted it as Yandy using the family bag to finance her side relationship with Scrappy. The supporters went crazy. Timelines were swamped with memes of Mendeecees, who was dubbed Atlanta's biggest clown. A TikTok that went viral displayed Yandy's Instagram livestream with a caption on the left that had Beyoncé's Irreplaceable blasting in the background. Scrappy's hotel suite is located on the left. Brutal. Sierra Gates, of course, was compelled to join in. Recall that Sierra had just ignited hip-hop in love with her own child. Accusations made against Yandy a few weeks prior. "See, y'all thought I was crazy when I said Miss Perfect wasn't so perfect. Now look, didn't I tell y'all the truth comes out?" she stated live while sipping champagne. That one remark rekindled the discussions between Sierra and Yandy, combining two scandals into one massive storm. Team Sierra makes a statement validated. Team Yandy appeared to be in a corner. Scrappy, meanwhile, was not making things any easier. Scrappy doubled down on shade rather than refute, apologize, or even remain silent. With the remark, "Loyalty over everything," he shared a selfie. Fans find the irony so profound that was unable to stop laughing. As if the turmoil wasn't enough, Rashida Frost joined the chat room and commented, "Broy with Yandy on your lap." She uttered the line that resonated with every blog during her Instagram live. Women don't include other men or children in drama unless there's a genuine reason for it. Although she never gave Yandy's name, everyone was aware of who she was referring to. Rashida wasn't merely drinking tea. According to fans, she was tugging Yandy along while approving Sierra. Hip-hop and Love's producers were apparently rushing by this point. This was gold for ratings on the one hand. Conversely, sponsors were frantic, attorneys were swarming, and the whole cast appeared on the verge of exploding on television. Mona Scott Young herself allegedly intervened and instructed the team, "Keep the cameras rolling. We're not missing this." According to an insider, the cameras continued to roll. Mendeecees wasn't merely shouting behind the scenes, he had a plan. According to people close to him, he had already gotten in touch with the Shade Room and TMZ to arrange exclusive interviews. He intended to reveal whatever nefarious detail he could find about Yandy and Scrappy, from confidential messages to dubious business transactions, from purportedly pilfered funds to treachery behind closed doors. Mendeecees sought to change public perception in his favor. He wasn't going to stop there either. One insider even said that Mendeecees was working on a trash track. Yes, you heard correctly. A full-fledged rap song directed at Yandy and Scrappy. Lines like, "You grinned in my face while you lay in his bed / thought I wouldn't find out, but I stayed 2 steps ahead" were allegedly included in the song Brutal. There would be immediate internet turmoil if Mendeecees did drop it. Naturally, this was being devoured by fans like the Super Bowl of scandals. There were camps on Twitter. He deserves better, Team Mendeecees. Yandy has been cunning, he embarrassed himself, Team Yandy. He was to blame for that meltdown. Team Scrappy. Scrappy doesn't give a damn. He's having the time of his life. Across the country, the hashtags #Mendeecees meltdown, #Yandy exposed, and #Scrappy side piece were popular. Millions of people watched TikTok modifications that used the popular table flip video. YouTubers broke down the hotel photographs pixel by frame and whole reaction videos. The unsettling aspect, though, is that insiders say he had more evidence in DC and was keeping it for the reunion. Rumor had it that Yandy, Mendeecees, and Scrappy were previously locked in a three-way sit-down dispute with the producers. If accurate, it was not going to be a special reunion. Devastation would be shown on television. Another bomb went off right as fans believed the narrative had reached its climax. Another set of screenshots purportedly depicting Yandy and Scrappy talking about keeping things secret, so the kids wouldn't find out, surfaced late one evening. It made no difference if it was real or not. The story had already gotten out of control. Supporters cried out betrayal. Headlines such as Yandy's double life were published on blogs. The comment section for the Shade Room turned into a battlefield. Yandy was no longer merely the queen of poise by this time. She was portrayed as cold, calculating, and unconcerned as her empire fell apart, making her the season's antagonist. Fans interpreted her silence as a sign of guilt. Not alone was the fallout untidy, it was disastrous. The court of popular opinion had already rendered its decision by the time the second wave of receipts reached the blogs. Yandy wasn't only disorganized. She was at fault. It was no longer important whether it was phony, real, or a combination of the two. The truth wasn't what fans were expecting for. They were looking for pandemonium via scrolling. And they got precisely that, chaos. Mondays went the morning after the fresh screenshots were made public, utterly quiet on social media. Just silence, no stories, no posts, no dubious captions. Furthermore, silence is more powerful than words in the age of the internet. Say something, bro, don't let her play you like this. We know you got it. Fans wrote in response to his most recent snapshot, more receipts, drop them. They were unaware that he was already planning the largest vengeance rollout in the history of love and hip-hop. Insiders say Mendeecees sat down with his legal staff and started writing documents. Word got out that he was getting ready to file 2 lawsuits. One against Scrappy for interfering with his business and causing him emotional pain, and another accused Yandy for misusing the money from the marriage. According to sources, he obtained proof that Yandy paid for her alleged covert meetings with Scrappy, lodging, meals, and even presents using their joint business account. If confirmed, it was fraud, not simply embarrassing. And it wasn't just that. Producers muttered that Mendeecees insisted that Scrappy be taken out of the upcoming season. According to reports, he gave Mona Scott-Young a straightforward ultimatum: either he or I will do it. Naturally, Mona had no intention of taking anyone away. Rather, she intensified her efforts. According to reports, she approved a reunion showdown that would include Yandy, Mendeecees, and in the same room, Scrappy. Lawyers on standby, contracts signed, cameras rolling. The streets were alive with activity. Yandy didn't support her allegation, which said, "This isn't a reunion. This is a bloodbath waiting to happen." Rather than dealing with the accusations, she embraced the villain. Fans yelled in the comments when she went live while drinking wine and blasting Beyoncé's "Irreplaceable." She captioned the video, "Moving on." Everyone continued to discuss, with some calling her iconic and others calling her ruthless. And in the algorithm, that was all that counted. However, Scrappy made the decision to prod the bear. Fans started making fun of Mendeecees after he shared a mysterious picture with the message, "Real ones don't fold." Will Smith, the man who supported a woman when everyone laughed at him, is compared to him in memes. Brutal. The diss track followed. According to rumors, Mendeecees entered the booth and recorded a disc that was directed at Scrappy and Yandy. The lyrics were said to be poisonous. As you lay in his bed, you grinned at me. I'm ahead of Slash, who assumed I wouldn't find out. I built you /an empire. I gave my name to you. Cut. You are now filthy and bringing only embarrassment. It made no difference if the track was flop or fire. The scandal became a cultural phenomenon when it was believed that Mendeecees, a man who wasn't known for rapping, was dropping bars out of pure resentment. Theater. He was urged to disclose it by fans. Blogs give away tidbits. Additionally, according to Scrappy sources, he told friends, "If that track drops, it's war." However, the actual conflict was already developing behind the scenes. Sponsors ran away. Yandy's promotional photos were taken by a jewelry company. A fitness package silently came to an end. The weight of treachery was causing even her once unbreakable family brand to crumble. According to rumors, Yandy called Mona Scott Young sobbing and pleaded with her to keep the situation under control. Mona, however, smelled ratings. "We can't control it now," Mona informed her, according to a production source. "It's larger than us." Supporters weren't merely devoted, they had an obsession. YouTubers spent hours dissecting the controversy. Timelines linking old interviews, lost weeks of filming, and mysterious captions were made by TikTok detectives. Even non-hip podcasts, according to the hip-hop community. It's the most messy reality TV scandal of the decade. Insiders claim that Mendeecees was not just upset, but also unraveling as a result of the aftermath at home. According to reports, he said to a confidant, "She made me a meme and humiliated me in addition to cheating. It's worse than treachery." Love was no longer the source of his rage. It has to do with reputation, pride, and ego. However, despite hotel pictures, dubious lives, and distracting stories, Yandy refused to publicly collapse. She remained coldly composed. According to one insider, she informed her team, "I lose if I cry." Fans would grow bored if I remained composed, but they weren't. They had their mouths watering. Like a doomsday clock, the reunion taping loomed large. Producers were reportedly preparing a big announcement to show that Mendeecees had further screenshots, possibly even video evidence. Fans conjectured endlessly. Was he a hacker? Her cell phone? Was there proof that Erica Banks spied? Was a trail unintentionally left by Scrappy? Everyone wanted to watch the explosion live on VH1, and theories were spreading like wildfire. Then the last twist appeared. The sort of scandal that becomes a legend. A hazy video that was purportedly taken weeks before the lounge disaster appeared online. Was it doctored? It seemed to show Yandy and Scrappy laughing together in a car, with Yandy remarking, "He'll never find out." Perhaps. Did it destroy her credibility enough? Of course. It was all over the blogs. The smoking gun was screaming in the headlines. The case was deemed closed by fans. In an instant, Yandy's reputation was not just tarnished but completely destroyed. The question of whether Yandy cheated was no longer being asked online. They were the questions that hung over the others were, how long has this been going on? Did Scrappy ruin a marriage for clout? Will Mendeecees nuke their careers with his diss track and interviews? Did love and hip-hop as we know it come to an end? Due to the fact that when the consequences doesn't end with the so-called ideal couple, they end up being the season's biggest scandal. The entire franchise is rocked by it. Everything is on the line. Cast alliances, contracts, and sponsors. Additionally, as Yandy sipped her wine and pretended she wasn't crying on the inside, as fans prepared for the reunion, and as Mendeecees honed his weaponry, unquestionably